Hey everybody, Mike McWilliams, Upstairs to the Right Music channel. Thank you so much for taking the time to join in this fine Sunday evening. Boy, it's a hot one here this week. Here, let me make an adjustment in my light there. I like that a lot better. A little less glaring. Yeah, it was a hot one this week here. Guys, last week when we were doing the live stream, I completely forgot that this week was my birthday. It completely slipped my mind. And usually I like to try to get away when I can. And hey, Ben, welcome. Oh, your message was redacted. Giving out secret codes. Yeah, so I went out to a place called Patton. I usually go there. Hey, thank you, Ben. I appreciate it. Thank you. And went out to the forest, took my dog with me, and one of my cats. I'm trying to get her trained so that she can walk on a leash and go out with the dog. And so spent time doing that and refreshing my mind. So that I can come back here and do it all over again with you guys. Wait a minute, maybe that's a little too dark. Let's see how this is. There we go. All right. I think we got something that works here. Maybe not. Maybe this is too... Yeah, we'll try that. Well, anyway, lights are a little dim tonight because I took one of my main lights. I'm using it in the other room. And so I have to make do with what I got. I just don't want to be too dark here. There we go. So yeah, it gave me time to refresh myself and to get myself in step again, put a little pep to my step. And yeah, what happened this week. So I did find a case for that Diamond guitar, the Champagne Sparkle guitar. I ended up going right back to the guy that I bought it from. I said, you know what, dude, finding a case for this is not as easy as I thought. I said, I'll just take the one. It's a little scuffed up, but hey, for what did I pay, $40? It'll do. So I resolved that this week. And as you know, I like to peruse the forums. I like to look at the forums. I like to check stuff out and see what people are thinking, and also when I'm doing research on things as well. And I came across a old phrase. We have phrases now like gas. Gear acquisition syndrome. We always talk about I got gas, or beware of gas, or so this is a pretty common term. Apparently, old form that I was reading back in the days, this would be early 90s, mid 90s, and these guys were talking about BFS. And beware of the BFS. Everybody would say in some of these old forums. And I said, BFS? What is BFS? I'd never heard of that before. And apparently, it means bottom feeder syndrome. Now, the definition, a slang definition, I assume that we will go by, means that somebody who took advantage of another person's misfortune or bad situation. Bottom feeder syndrome. And in the context of these forms back then, I guess it was used when somebody was talking about flipping something, and I found that very interesting, that they used to kind of chastise and kind of, in a very polite way, forums back then in the early 90s, late 90s, 2000s, they were a lot more polite than they are now. They did eventually devolve into some ugly things, but some of the early ones that I was involved in, they were actually pretty polite places. But people would mildly chastise, "Hey, don't get bottom feeder syndrome." In other words, don't be that guy who feels the need to go out there and turn a profit off of other people's misfortune in terms of flipping things. And you know, I had a situation myself this week where I was actually on holiday. I was actually in the car. I don't drive here. I don't have a driver's license, um, but I hired a car to drive me out to where I had to go to. And so, of course, this gave me time to look at my phone. And as I was looking at my phone, I was checking out Reverb, of all places, and I saw a listing that had just gone up within that hour for a guitar that I've always been kind of interested in. It's the Epiphone Emperor Swingster. Now, these are typically known as a poor man Gretsch 6120, I think what it is, like Brian Setzer's guitar. So give you a kind of idea of what I'm talking about, what style of guitar we're talking about. And I have a neighbor who reached out to me, and she's looking for a birthday present for her son, and knows that I deal in guitars, and asked me if I would find something. And I saw it, and I thought, wow, that would be perfect. I think that might be something that her kid will get a kick out of. It's a beautiful guitar. You guys can look it up when you get a chance, but the Epiphone Emperor Swingsters first came out around 2010. And they were styled, I believe, originally styled off their Sheraton 2, something like that. They're a derivative of that. And there used to be an Epiphone Swingster that was actually produced by Epiphone, the company before it got bought out by Gibson back in the 30s. 1935, I believe, this guitar originally comes from. But they updated it a little bit to give it more of a Gretsch kind of gravitas to it. And I looked into what models are good. They're still producing them today, so you can still find the Swingsters. They started producing them again in 2021. But it's the models from the early 2010s that are considered to be the ones that are of interest. One of the big things about them is the fact that the fretboard on those guitars are rosewood, as opposed to now the current ones, as you know, has laurel. And that's considered a premium, actually, nowadays, when you can find Epiphones with a laurel fretboard. I'm sorry, with a rosewood fretboard, excuse me. A few other things. Just a gorgeous guitar, it's got the Tree of Life up in the headstock, mother of pearl inlays, beautiful orange color. And so I saw it, and I decided to call the shop directly, because I noticed it was a shop that's here in the Netherlands. As I've told you before, I don't like dealing on Reverb. It's good for research. If I see things and if I can reach out locally, I'd rather do it that way. So in the car on my way, I'm supposed to be resting and not worrying about these things. On my birthday, I called the shop and I said, hey, you know what? I'll take it. Because I got a client that I think that would be perfect for this guitar. So I said, I'll take it. But I noticed that what they were selling it for, these guitars originally came with a hard case. This one, the hard case has mysteriously disappeared. But they do give a very, very nice soft case with it. But even still, it was marked down half the price of generally what you would find this guitar for, and a third of the price, almost a third, roughly a third of the price of what the new ones are going for. And I've never seen such a low offer on something on this guitar. And the minute I saw that, I jumped on it. and bought it. I don't know what it looks like. I know it doesn't have any net brakes. I know there's nothing wrong with it. This shop actually is a fairly well-respected shop. Red Shaw, you guys know him from YouTube, has when he comes here to the Netherlands, this is the shop that he goes to check out guitars. So it's a Fellowship of the Acoustics is the name of the shop. But I started thinking about this whole bottom feeder syndrome thing, and you know, part of me, I didn't do anything wrong in this case, I don't think. But part of me really wanted to say to the guy when I was on the phone with him, hey, you know what, dude? This guitar, I know that you guys are in business as you do, but I'm kind of curious of why you have this guitar marked at what it is, because generally they're twice as much. But I didn't say anything. I said, you know what? These guys are pros. I'm not going to point it out to them. I'm just going to go ahead and buy it and hope that it was a good deal. And I can certainly pass that savings on to my client, which is even a better thing. And so the person was asked me to look for a guitar for their son. And so, but still in all, I felt a little guilty about it, should I have raised that point? I don't know how you guys think about it, if you would have yourselves in that situation. If it was a smoking hot deal, do you ask questions? Do you look a gift horse in the mouth? I guess is a really appropriate phrase to use here. But I began to say to myself, okay, dude, let's not have that bottom feeder syndrome when it comes to what you're doing. Since I started this venture to bring more guitars through, it's got a multiple of reasons behind it. But I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to have that bottom feeder syndrome going for me. And that leads to our next story about probably one of the most ridiculous stories that I've heard in a while, guys. I'm not lying to you. And of course, it's brought to you by the kings of the bottom feeder syndrome, Guitar Center. I enjoy being a member of the My Les Paul Forum. If you guys don't know what it is, check it out. And I really like the guys there. And if you bring something up, somebody will come in with a fact that even you couldn't find if you searched on the web forever. Hey, welcome, Florida. How is it in Florida? Boy, it's hot here. I'm sitting here right now and I'm baking. If I start sweating during the course of this, I'm drinking iced tea. It's not really helping. I need a snow cone. It is hot today, guys. It's like 31, 32, and it still hasn't cooled off. So I hope it's a lot better in Florida. But speaking of the States, and I'm sure there's a Guitar Center in Florida, a ridiculous story. I'm starting to think that Guitar Center has turned into a hedge fund clearinghouse for guitars. So it's, or even worse than that, like a flea market. I think that they have. I don't know. I know why. You can't have a company bought out by multiple, revolving system of hedge funds, each one of them doing worse than the squeezing everything out of that lemon, and then selling that squeezed out lemon to the next guy. And believe me, he's going to squeeze even the pits and the seeds. He's going to try to get juice out of the seeds. And I think that's where we're at with Guitar Center, trying to squeeze, juice out of the seeds now, because there's not much left. That lemon, as it continue this lemon analogy, has pretty much been sucked dry. But they do things every now and then that I read about on the forums. Read about this one on my Les Paul forum. Thought I'd bring it up to you guys. I couldn't believe it. We were first talking about a Gibson Les Paul studio that they put up for sale. It's still, as far as I know, you can check their website and find it. Still up for sale. Gee, I hope so. With a broken headstock. Generally, those guitars go for around $12.50 on sale. I'm going to say $1,300, $12.50 on sale. On a good day, you can get that Les Paul Studio. This one had been broken in the shop by the staff. Headstock break. And probably why he was miming Panama, you know. And they had the absolute nerve to list it for sale on their website for $800 and what was it? $869, $39.69, somewhere like that. For with a clearly broken headstock. And we just started piling in on that, of course, you know, because, you know, it's like one guy said, he said, some assembly required. That cracked me up. You know, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how low have these guys sunk? You know, the truth of the matter is, if you walked in there at whatever shop or store it's held at, and you offered them the first, say, like, I'll give you $350 for this, take it off your hands, probably the manager, assistant manager, would probably greenlight it, to be honest with you. But to have the nerve to list it for that kind of money on the website just blew a group of grown men's collective minds. Because, you know, and it was a good headstock break. You know, it was a good one. And, you know, a headstock break, by the time you repair that guitar, pay for the headstock break on that thing. No, they were not offering to fix it themselves. Once you pay for that and have that repair work done, you've paid more than the guitar was worth originally, and good luck trying to sell even close anywhere to even their reduced price. Hey, thank you. I appreciate the birthday wish. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. It was a good one. It was a good one. I mean, hey, I was riding in the car on my way to a cabin in the woods, and I bought a cool guitar. So what could be better than that? I can't really complain. I thought to myself, I really can't complain. Very blessed in that regard. So I just cracked up. I couldn't believe it. You know, over $850 for a broken headstock Les Paul Studio, and you got to be the one to do the repair on it. And this is Guitar Center. This is the best that they can do. So another guy pointed out that this is not the worst transgression of this week by the Guitar Center. And yes, I may every week, guys, I might find, hey, it's not me. They're doing it. You know, I'm merely reporting on these things that I read, because I think if you guys don't have time to read, of course, I'm here to tell you it about it and just laugh about it, so you can get a laugh out of it too, because this is just ridiculous. All right, there is a guitar called the Grote GT150 Super Series. It's a Strat knockoff, basically. Basically, it's a Strat knockoff. And the Guitar Center, by the way, Grote is the company. So, you guys heard Grote? Class? Anyone? Bueller? No? Neither have I. But they had this Grote GT150 Super Series on sale on their website at the Guitar Center for $700, and then they said, we're going to do a sale on it. They marked it down to $599. Now, you would say to yourself, okay, Mike, you know, So what? What's the big deal? They had some guitar, the Grote, whatever the hell that is, GT 150. They had it for 700. Hey, at least they were cool enough to mark it down from 700 to 599. You would think. The only problem is, guys, is that the Grote GT 150 Super Series can be found on eBay. It's a Chinese guitar for $109 with shipping. So this means one of two things, or possibly a combination of one of these two things. Either somebody bought these for $109, and there were 3 of them, by the way, for sale on the Guitar Center website for this price. Somebody brought these guitars in, and whoever the shop that they brought it into didn't take the time to check the computer or thought it was something else, bought it for, gave store credit for $300, because that's about what you're going to get if they're selling it used for $700, then you do your little 40% off of that, and you're around $300. You are you are essentially looking at somebody who walked away with store credit for like maybe $900 on a $300 buy-in, because the Guitar Center had no idea what they were doing. The other thing is that it was a staff member trying to do a thing for their buddy. I suspect this may be the more truth. Right on, Mike. Lab already sold it. Yeah. And did this thing, and somebody's going to get in trouble for this. I don't know. But the guy who pointed out said that he wrote to the Guitar Center, to the one that was selling this, and said, "Hey guys, you better get your stuff together, because your listing on this is completely bogus." He said they had it up for weeks before they changed it. So the fact that they're selling these, I mean, I suppose they have the right to sell them for whatever they want to. If you're dumb enough to go to the Guitar Center website and buy $109 for $599, then more power to you. Hey, you want to make a $490 donation to the Guitar Center? Sweet. But for the rest of us, we kind of scoff at that proposition. It just doesn't seem very appealing. So yeah, the Guitar Center, man. These are two. This is just this week, guys. It's just this week, and I rag on them. It's a weird thing. I was talking to a friend of mine, old friend of mine. We haven't spoken in a while, and he reached out to me because he saw a YouTube channel. Nice Guitar Center. I got a couple of Harley Benz. Yeah. They're, I don't think they know what they're doing on the staff level. I think that there's a lot of things there, and I think there's a lot of being taken advantage of on both sides of that. I was speaking to an old friend of mine that we used to hit up the one, like I told you, the one I went to all the time was on Hollywood Boulevard. And we reminisced on how great it was, and he said, "Oh, it's not like that now, because he's got wife and kids. He's far from this now." Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it. But he said, "Oh, it's not like that anymore." I said, "No, dude, it's completely trashed, and that Guitar Center that you and I grew up with is gone." And he was a little not surprised by that. He said, "Yeah, man, he likes to say planned obsolescence." I'm not sure where the planned obsolescence, well, maybe there is in there. I like I said, if you start handing this dead corpse over to be getting bought out by a successive number of these hedge funds, then that's the end result. And it's like who's the last man standing holding the dung. And I don't know who that's going to be. But I thought those stories were really hilarious, guys. I thought that was worth sharing with you. How are we doing this evening? 11 people, 14 people watching, 11 likes. Guys, I want to thank you for showing up. I should have prepared better for this. It just occurred to me that maybe this is not the time to be fumbling around with guitar cases while you're doing a live stream. But, is this the one? Yep, this is the one. But I've got something that I want to show you that let me move this light. There we go. All right. I've got something here I want to share with you, a new guitar. Like I said, I didn't do any content this week because it was my birthday. I said to myself, well, I start to shoot the content to show this guitar, the unboxing of this guitar. Generally, when I do a YouTube video, I do it over the course of days. I'll shoot a part where I'm unboxing or doing something, and the B-roll, and then I'll do the A-roll. So I did the B-roll on this, and then I said, "What are you doing? It's your birthday week. You're not, I was gone Thursday, Friday, Saturday." So, and where I was at, believe me, there's no Wi-Fi. That's one of the things that I like about it out there where I go to. It's a nice cabin. Reminds me of the woods that I used to spend my summers up in Monterey, California, a place called 17 Mile Drive. I used to spend my aunt had a house up there. Hey, thank you so much. From Maryland. Birthday greetings from Maryland. Man, I'm getting it from all over the world. That puts a smile on my face, folks. That's quite something. That's something. That's why this is worth doing. I said, no, Mike, save it for next week. But what I can do is give you guys a preview of this one, if I can get all the latches here successfully. My Epiphone drought is over. Interesting enough, like I said, I bought 2 Epiphones. This one I actually bought 3 weeks ago. It took 3 weeks. Hey, happy birthday, have a good one. Hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much. My Epiphone is right. I haven't had, this is the first time in a while I haven't had in a few years that I hadn't had an Epiphone. It didn't last long. But I got an Epiphone here that I want you to get a preview of. We'll talk about it here on the live stream. This, guys, is the Epiphone Tak Matsumoto Double Cut Custom. And you can see here on the back it has the infamous Custom Shop Limited Edition label. There it is. You can see the gold plate where it says Tak Matsumoto. And yeah, it's a double cut custom with Gibson burst buckers here. So you got the burst buckers 2 and 3 in here. And came from Japan. The story behind this one is that I have my agent in Japan who has a secondhand license, so you can buy guitars on the secondhand market. And I found this one available. He went to the shop and picked it up and shipped it over to me, and here it is. And so this is a 2014 model. So this is a 2014 Tak Matsumoto, directly from Japan. Made in China, by the way, guys. These are not made in Japan. These are Chinese-made guitars. You can check out the back. What can I say about this guitar? Again, the pickups are burst buckers, long neck tenon in this one. Supposedly, here's the thing. Here's the weird thing about this one. And it is an extremely weird thing, is the fretboard. This is a rosewood fretboard on this guitar. You can see that very clear, very porous, very clear. That's rosewood. You guys know what it looks like. You love it, and you know it when you see it. The funny thing is, guys, on the specs for this guitar, it's supposed to be ebony. It's supposed to be ebony. Now, of course, if you go on, even back then, you would go on the Epiphone website, and down at the bottom in the small print it says we reserve the right to swap out materials at any time. And so I think that that is the case with this guitar. For some reason, instead of giving it the ebony fretboard, they gave it a rosewood fretboard. So that makes this one a little bit of the odd man out. They have been producing these guitars since 2008, I found out. And our good friend of the channel let me know. And they again produced them in 2012 and then 2014. Yeah. So these are, hold on guys, let me put this somewhere where I feel comfortable. Oh, there, that's a perfect spot. So these guitars, these Tak Matsumoto guitars, when they first came out in the 2008, 2009 time, from my understanding, what I've been told, they were limited to Japan only. And then when this model came out, is this 2013, 2014? 2014 model came out. 2012 and then 2014 they did it again. The 2014 model was made available worldwide, but in truth, it really only made it to the UK. Quite a few made it to the UK, and then very few made it to the United States. So for a guitar that is roughly 10 years old, it's in perfect shape. It's flawless. I told you before, guys, it even so much to say that it still has, here on the back of the neck, you can see, still has this factory, all the factory stickers on it. You know, I've said it before, I'll say it 1,000 times, that Japanese used guitars are as good as new. And if you can find a way of getting them and checking them out, you'll find that that's true. But yeah, you know, so kind of a rare Epiphone here, not super rare, kind of rare. It was not put out in general release, so it's not something that you're going to just, you know, find every day. It's not an everyday instrument. And those are the type of instruments that I told you, the ones that interest me, are the ones that aren't every day. And this kind of car doesn't pass you by every day. So I thought I would take a leap on it. So this week, yeah, we'll be reviewing that. We'll be going through that. But yeah, you know, a lot of just interesting good things like that coming up here on the channel. I'm excited about the next one that's coming. You know, I've talked about not having had any Japanese-made Epiphones, particularly the Elitist or the Orville by Gibson guitars that they produced in Japan, you know, in the roughly 1995 to about 2005 is the period that they really was the heyday for those. And I've never had one. I played them in the shops in Japan, but I've never owned one. Well, that's going to change too, because I came across this weekend also a Orville by Gibson custom. So hopefully my guy will be able to secure that, and we will check that custom out too. But this Tak Matsumoto is also custom. What else can I say before I put it away? I like the binding on that. That is really nice binding. It's actually really a beautiful binding job you did. 5-ply binding all the way up and down, even up on the headstock there. 5-ply binding. Mother of pearl inlay. Just a beautiful guitar. Haven't plugged it in yet. It came in the mail I had time to film the unboxing, and then an hour or so later, I was out of here. I was in the car on my way out. So I haven't even plugged this in. I have no idea. Well, burst buckers, we all know how burst bucker, son of a bitch, I can never say that. Burst bucker 2 and 3s. We all know how those sound. And so I don't suppose there'll be any big surprises there, but I'm sure it's a great sounding guitar. But yeah, so I guess we're going to be getting into a couple of interesting customs here. That's an awesome looking guitar, Mike. A very nicely made epi. Yeah. Again, and this is supposedly during an era where Epiphone was kind of not, the cat's meow, so to speak. 2000, this was a year before I left for Singapore. So yeah, I was still in Japan 2014. Interestingly enough, me and this guitar occupied the same space in another country at one point, and now here we are back together again. But I wasn't really digging things like that too much. As I told you right there, I was beginning my I hadn't even at that point. It'd be the following year that I bought my first Epiphone. Yeah, it's a killer. It's a great guitar. Again, I will review it, and we will talk about it, and then it will go on to somebody who will appreciate it, I'm sure. Beautiful case. Comes with a nice case, guys. I try not to show cases on live streams, but since I've got it here next to me, why not? Is it this one? Nope. It's this one. Yeah. All right. So it says Takamatsumoto on the case. It's a very nice hard case this thing comes with. I'm happy. It came with a serious hard case. As a matter of fact, I like the quality of these older Epiphone cases than the newer ones. Even with the 59 case, this one kind of beats it a little bit. The padding, is thicker. Just the overall build is a lot more quality to it. So it comes with a quality case. I like hard cases, as you know, and as I've told you before, every guitar should have its case. I'm not really into soft cases too much, even though I use them to transport guitars between here and Fern, because there's no way I'm carrying a hard case with a Les Paul in it. Even though Fern is just a couple of blocks from here, it's still no way. But I do use a soft case for traveling around with them. But I am particularly pleased that this one came with a hard case. I don't have to go and try to find its original hard case because it has it. So, and thank gosh, made it here in one piece. No breaks, no problems. So yeah, that seems to be working. So, but Epiphone during that time, as I was saying, was not known, during this period, was not known to be the best, but I gotta be honest with you, this thing is great. It's a beauty. And so I think in terms of their signature stuff, they've always been, everybody's saying, well, their signature stuff is starting to really take a step up. It's really starting to be great. Hey, you know what? This is 2014 and it's pretty nice. I can't find a single solitary flaw on this guitar. There's no overruns on the binding. There's no overspray in where the neck joints are at. That's a usual complaint I have on Epiphones. There's no unevenness to the coloring on the fretboard, even though the fretboard material isn't what it's supposed to be. Hey, it's still a good piece of rosewood. Yeah, so they've had, I was knocking Epiphone a little bit last week, but I will always be the first one to come back and say, hey, these guys have been turning out great products for a long time, and this is a really good example of that. So, I think that it got a bad rap, and I think that bad rap is finally starting to dissipate. It's amazing to hear the guys on the forums who are diehard Gibson guys, who are really starting to kind of turn a corner on this. I think it's the price increases, to be honest with you. I think that, and one guy, one guy was saying that. He says, you know, I've been priced out of Gibsons. Now, whether I like it or not, I got to start looking at Epiphones and others in that range. And so it got, you know, a bad rap for a long time, and people are starting to come around on them. But this guitar points to the fact that they always really had solid stuff, if you knew where to look. And I've been looking. You know, I have been kind of on a quest, as you know, recently to find guitars. Again, for a multitude of reasons. In a lot of the ones that I'm finding are ones that ultimately were limited in number, well received, but not outrageously priced. Nothing it hasn't got into the Klon territory, you know, or you know, that kind of thing. Are you still liking the 339? The 339 was sold to a client of mine. I actually traded that up. I sold that one. That wasn't a trade. I get them a little confused in my mind, but no, the 339 I sold to a client. And while I had it, I liked it. Gibson price increases are scary. Not working guitarists anymore because the QC is hit and miss. Well, the QC issue is what I'm talking about with these Epiphones too. That was the major complaint, if you remember. A lot of people were saying, you know, the QC on Epiphones is just totally sucks. You know, you'll still get one or two guys who say that, hey, I bought an Epiphone and I'm sorry I bought this piece of dirt. It was, you know, the bridge was too high and the salves was loose. And I was like, dude, you know, take 5 minutes to do that. If you've got any basic, you know, tools here, you know, I'm about to change some pots in a guitar. Actually, if you have a toolbox and you got spare parts, which you should have, then, you know, for a little bit of work you could do at home, you have yourself a great guitar. No, they're not going to be great out of the box, but neither are Gibsons. they're not. You know, my first Gibson Les Paul was a P90 Les Paul. It was brand new. But in the shipping between, I bought it in Singapore, between the States and getting shipped to Singapore, the lacquer paint job had completely cracked. It was completely, talk about aging. It looked to it all right, because the mixture that they used for the lacquer was wrong. And as a result, I guess not just that one, but quite a few of those gold tops went out with, they developed cracks within the first, you know, even within shipping. So yeah, Gibson, but I bought it and I got it at a discount, you know. What's your first Les Paul Yeah, my first Les Paul was a classic. Wasn't that? Yeah, that was a Les Paul classic. It was a Les Paul classic. Go back to my YouTube videos. It's there. It's documented. Yeah, it was a gold top Les Paul Classic. That's right. And then I traded that in for my Les Paul 60s, the standard 60s. And then I gave up on the standard 60s for the Epiphone 59 because I figured, hell, this guitar sounds as good as this one, and why am I holding on to this? You know, you guys know that story. But I've been through them, so, and then... But then I had I don't know if that, maybe I had two classics. I might have had two gold. No, I had two gold because one was P90s and one was humbuckers. Yeah, because I used I used both of those guitars on my song Belly Dancer, the early tracks, the rhythm tracks. That's the P91 on the left and the humbucker one on the right in the mix. So yeah, I've had a few of them. QC is all over the place, regardless of which company you're buying from, Gibson or Epiphone. Well, it's the same company, but you guys know what I mean. Regardless of which guitar you go for. So yeah, I think it's unfair. I think it's a bad rap because, again, looking at this guitar here from 2014, and this thing is just it's a screamer. Now they may, you know, have a selection process. Hey, thank you so much. Thank you guys for the birthday wishes. Mean a lot to me. It really makes me smile. Maybe, you know, in Japan they get just good guitars, and I don't know. I've always suspected that they always got the best of the best. I know that they got some of the best topped. Some of the best tops for Les Pauls went to Japan. And then some of the Yamaha Les Pauls that were produced in Japan have even better tops. So maybe some of the better condition or some of the more, I don't know. There may be some there where the Japanese just get really good ones and the QC problems aren't as bad. I don't know. That's speculation on my part. But here it sits. And yeah, it's a beauty. I like it. I'm really taken to that D'Armand Champagne Sparkle. Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate the birthday wish. Thank you. I really am starting to fall in love with that thing. You know, I never thought I would be into that Gretsch style type guitar, but boy, that thing is a screamer. And it's just so cool. I really like it. So, you know, and that's, then when that guitar came out, that was considered to be a budget guitar. Now they're starting to climb up in price because they only made them for a year or so. And I think I was alluding to that last week, that there are even some guys here that are selling them for $1,300 in the States, selling them for $1,300. This was a guitar brand new, it was $599. So, you know, in the guitar safari of life, you know, there's this guy. Guitar Safari is a Joe Bonamassa. I don't know if it's his particular, but it's what he talks about when you're out buying guitars. He's out buying guitars, he calls it a Guitar Safari. And in the Guitar Safari of life, you know, when you're out there and you're beating the bush, you never know what's going to come up. And so it's always interesting. I'm very blessed to be able to get these things and share them with you guys. Again, I'm reflecting on the things that I'm really happy about and blessed for this birthday year, this birthday. But Joe Bonamassa and his Safari, yeah, there was a guy who had an Epiphone 59 Les Paul that he bought, and he took it to a Joe Bonamassa concert. And he had Joe Bonamassa sign it on the bow, you know, down at the bottom in the front. And then he got on Reddit and he said, hey guys, how much do you think I could charge for this 59 Les Paul with Joe Bonamassa's signature on the front? And, you know, it reminded me of the scene from Half Baked, where the lady walks into the record store and she says, how much can I get for this guitar center by Burt? Yeah, we talked about that. Like watching The Sopranos. Yeah, I know. And you know what they do in The Sopranos, once the business is done, they have a fire sale. Like, you know, in Goodfellas, remember they burnt out that dude, they totally burnt the, you know, got every bit of credit, milked the thing completely, and then they threw Molotov cocktails through the windows. Well, there's going to be the equivalent there at the Guitar Center. But I said, it reminded me of that guitar being signed by Joe Bonamassa. It reminded me of that joke. I got this album, this Kenny Loggins album. How much will you give me for it? And the guy says, I'll give you $5 for it. And the lady says, but it's signed by the artist. And he says, okay, $3. I don't know how much a Joe Bonamassa sign. Your today is the first day of the year, and not the other stuff. Being yeah, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know how much a Joe Bonamassa's signature on a 59. Maybe if it was on a Lazarus, I was thinking it may have been interesting. But that cracked me up. Like, how much can I get for this? And people were like, you may actually have to take a hit on that one. Because nobody's going to... And they said, I hope it's not permanent marker. Because if it is, yeah. I thought that was funny. But yeah, man, you know, these Epiphones, they've been smoking for a long time. It reminds me, you know, when I was in Singapore, 2015, it was when 2014, I bought my first Epiphone, and then I sent it to my brother, and then 2015, I bought, anyway, I can't remember, it's getting to get fogged into the fogs of time now, but I went to a store in Singapore, and I talked to the guys there. I said, if you had a choice, would you buy a Gibson or would you buy an Epiphone? And they said, 100% of the time, we'd buy the Epiphone. And I found that to be interesting because they sold both. So that was the beginning of my kind of understanding, you know, the Gibson Epiphone thing. Boy, am I knee deep in it now. Had I known, I would not have gone down that rabbit hole. Trust me on that. So yeah, bottom feeder syndrome, to wrap this up, to bring this back full circle, guys. You know, I don't, you know, in business, and believe me, this is not, you know, this is not a small thing to me. Even in the, you know, if I'm running 4 or 5 different separate businesses, which you kind of have to, because that's my life. I'm an entrepreneur, so I have to do a lot of different things. But in all of them, I always take a pride in honesty and fairness. Fern told me, because I said, Fern, hey, I'm going to start importing guitars and finding buyers for them and moving them around, and I may need your help in terms of doing setup and things of that nature if I don't have the time or if I got too many in. Plus, I want to throw some business towards. He's a great guy. I told you I support Luthers, and so should you. Support your local Luthers. And he said, I'll work with you on that. I'll do it with you as long as you are honest. And I said, of course, I'm an honest guy. You know me, how I am. But I appreciate it. I wasn't offended by him saying that. I think I've mentioned this to you guys before. I wasn't offended by that. But it's something that I do want to keep in mind. And I worry about this bottom feeder syndrome. I kind of said to myself, geez, boy, you know, don't be that guy. Like I said, that little thing where I wasn't really wrong, where I could have said to the shop, hey, you know, you guys are selling this guitar, even though you don't have the original case, you guys are selling this guitar for way less than everybody else is, you know. And I didn't say anything, and, you know, it made me feel a little icky because this is a shop and this is the guitar world. We're all guitar enthusiasts, and I think that we should all try to be honest with each other or talk to each other or have those kind of conversations. Of course, I was in the car on a freeway and I was trying to be quick about it. So there is that. But, you know, if you're out there buying, if you're out there flipping or you're doing anything like that, that's fine. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with running that kind of business. However, we're moving into economic times where there's going to be a lot of people who are going to, and we're really starting to see that, and we've been talking about that avalanche that I've been talking about, that snowball effect that I've been talking about for over a year now has certainly hit us. It's without any question, we know. And just be honest when you're dealing with folks. You know, that's all I say. Yeah, and I'm sure you guys already are. But don't be a bottom feeder. Don't take advantage of people's misfortune. Try not to. Uh, and I think if you keep that kind of vibe going for you, you know, good things will come about. I myself am not going to be a bottom feeder. I'm always going to try to run honest deal. That's why I don't like dealing on Reverb. I like dealing on the phone with people. You know, if I see it on Reverb and it's a local shop, and by the way, I only buy locally. I told you before, I don't import things anymore. I don't do that. I only buy locally. And if I see it on Reverb and I can call a local shop, get a person on the phone, and have a conversation with them, that's preferred to me. Because then, you know, I'm not just texting between two people. And also, even if it's not a shop, if it's a private individual like that guy that I bought the Diamond from, again, I saw it on Reverb, but I was able to contact him directly. I can't remember why, but for some reason I got his number. And email, something like that. Contacted him, through Reverb, that's right. I said, hey, here's my email, hit me up. And was able to deal direct. I like that kind of thing. And to hear the story too. You know, speaking of Joe Bonamassa, he always says if he buys a piece of equipment, and I believe there's a recent story that says he has something in the neighborhood of 500 pieces of gear, amps, guitars, things of that nature. He's got quite a collection. Imagine 500 pieces of gear. Boy, and all of it vintage. All of it vintage. All of it. Every stick up, even down to the signs, the old Gibson signs. But yeah, you know, as far as anyway, I'm kind of beating a dead horse with this, guys. I'm just really that was a kind of thing to myself this week. I got a kind of reminder. I felt icky about it because I got off the phone. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, should I have said something to this guy? Like, hey, you know, what's the deal? Well, I sure am going to find out tomorrow because that's when it's getting delivered. And we'll see if there's no net break or anything like that. So it's not that kind of situation. Again, like I said, Reputable Shop, they took gorgeous, stunning 3D pictures of this thing. And by 3D, I mean you can sit there and flip and look at it from all different angles. So on their website. So that's pretty cool. So I know it's in good shape, but I don't want to be that guy. So I'm gonna have to try to pay that forward somehow. I feel as though they made a mistake. I really do. But any case, don't be a bottom feeder. I'm gonna try not to be. I will try to pay for that in some way. If I feel icky about it, then I should do something about it. But really, they're a professional shop, so what am I to say? They know what they're doing. But they sure did give me a deal. Which, again, I can pass. Actually, that's a good thing. I can pass that on to my client because there's no way in a million years that they would have ever known about something like this. So I'm kind of providing a service there. So you see how that works. You always try to think about the positive, or how am I adding value, or things like that. So that's kind of where that's at. Anyway, I thought I would share that with you guys, that aspect of my life and the deal when it comes with these guitars. You know, it was your birthday present from them. Yeah, you know what, guys? I'll take that. I'll take that as that deal as being. I actually, honestly, seriously got no birthday presents this year for myself. Nothing. I didn't buy myself personally. You know, these guitars. This is YouTube territory. There's YouTube stuff over here, and then there's mic stuff. And in the mic stuff department, I didn't buy myself anything actually for my birthday. The guitars, that's all business. That's all. If it, like this Tak Matsumoto, I already got a buyer for it. The Epiphone that I bought in the car, I have a buyer. I know they'll like it. I got a buyer for that one. So for myself, I didn't buy anything. Hey, thank you, Mickey. I appreciate it. Now I didn't get any, but my birthday present, guys, actually, to be honest with you, and I know this sounds sugary and schmaltzy, but it's for real, is to have people from all over the world right now, this moment, saying happy birthday to me. I never thought there would be a time in my life when I could sit there and share my birthday with so many people from all over the world. This is really something, guys. This is really something. And to be in this position, to be here in Amsterdam, as hot as it is, because I am boiling right now. As hot as it is and to have, thank you, man. From Florida, all over the world. That's what I'm saying. To have this kind of experience and to share things with you guys and all the things that's come with this have all been positive. You know, the last subject I put up on my title card tonight was talking about YouTube copyrights. And this is a good way to kind of move into this as we finish here. Recently, Brad, the guitarist, put up a video where he was commenting on Rick Beato and some other guys talking about copyright infringement here and strikes and things here with YouTubers. Basically, the deal is this. There are guys out there buying or... Hey, thank you. Hot birthday tonight. The cake would definitely, the icing would slide off the cake. We don't need the candles. It's all, they'd light themselves. Hey, thank you so much. Thank you. And they're buying like an old song, like Mr. Sand. Let's take Mr. Sandman for example. Bum 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 bum. You know, Mr. Sandman. They're claiming the rights to that song through some mechanism. I don't know how. And then when you use that, and by the way, that's an old song, so it doesn't have a copyright anymore. It's free. It's really free for use on that now because it's an old song. They've somehow, if you were to use that on your YouTube video, or if you were to play that on the guitar, you know, or something along that nature, they could get a copyright strike against your channel and receive the revenue from your channel for a bogus copyright infringement that they put on your strike or claim that they put on your video for bogus ownership of a song that they don't. And YouTube is doing nothing about it. And, you know, if you extend that out in your mind and you think to yourself, which guitar do you have in front of you? Sure, well, you guys know what guitar I have in front of me right now and then behind me. But this is just a Harley Benton bass. But I tell you, this Harley Benton bass is killer. I love it. You don't have to spend a lot of money to have a good bass guitar these days. This copyright thing, if you think about the horror of it, that means that at any given time, on any given little piece of something that you play even on guitar, just demoing or teaching or anything like that, somebody can come along and bogus claim get a copy strike on your channel and take the revenue from that channel. And YouTube is at this point is doing nothing to address that. And I understand people's frustration, especially if you've got a video that's got, you know, like my Fern video, 150,000 views on it, and somebody comes along and says, hey, you know, I own, you know, the piece of music that you used to intro this in, then you're out of some money there. And this happens a lot. So for me, you know, I guess it's just my way of looking at things. I'm not, you know, this is a system. It's obviously, if they wanted to do something about this, they would have done something about it. Rick Beato is like the man on YouTube as far as this is concerned. I do believe he testified in Congress regarding this issue, and they still haven't done anything about it. So, to be frank, and, you know, and his points that musicians like the Hendrix and the Eagles and the other folks out there who will not allow you to play their music in any way, form, or fashion are going to die out. I think he's right. I think that that's a very astute, you know, conclusion. However, I'm of the opinion that, okay, this is the system and this is how it works. So make your own music. When I play demos, and that's another reason I don't like playing guitar demos on YouTube too, because of this very reason as well. If I play, Enter the Sandman for, riff for, 5, 6 bars, 8 bars, I could get a copyright strike on that video, obviously. But if I play even an old song like Mr. Sandman or something like that, I could stand to get a copyright strike as well. This is a lose-lose. So I just decided, hey, when I do my videos, the way around this, and it's my answer to all these people, is write your own music. Play your own things. Play your own tunes. Lord knows I got enough music out there that I can use. I use my own music for the intro and the exit on my videos. And when I do guitar demos going here forth, to circumvent that happening, I'm going to play my own music. And I dare somebody to come along and try to copyright strike me on my own music, because it's all BMI. I'm with BMI, and I will bring the hammer of thunder upon their heads. Trust me. Hammer of Thor upon their heads. Trust me. So that's my way around it. So that's my 2 cents on the issue. I only bring it up because it's been something that's been floating around. Paul David here in Amsterdam, he lives here in Amsterdam, not too far from me actually, as I seem to recall. He brought it up this week in one of his YouTube videos. My simple response to that is, okay, yeah, it sucks that you can't play other people's songs, but play your own. I mean, and like Mary Splendor, is that her name? She plays her own tunes on her channel, and she's doing great. And I very rarely, if ever, see her cover anything. So it's just one of those things that you're just going to have to deal with the system. I haven't gotten any copyright strikes on any of my videos yet, but I suppose that as the channel grows, that is just going to, change. I don't think that I'm going to be that fortunate coming up here. So to try to circumvent that nightmare, I'm just going to avoid that. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that subject. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Quite frankly, being a YouTube creator sucks. Because you got to come up with your own makeup, your own lighting, your own camera work. Now you've got to create your own music, or you stand, the copyright strike there. So it's just getting harder and harder and harder and harder to be, true story. Hey, 3-Chord, brother, hey, I am so glad to see you. I caught your show last night, man. I'm going to try to get that Slash hat. You think I'm kidding. I always wanted one of those. Hey, guys, 3-Chord Dave, check out his channel. He's here. Thank you. Yeah, true story, man. Dig that. And they'll do that to you. And it's just getting harder and harder to be a content creator. And then on top of all that, you've got to deal with YouTube really changing the rules on you every now and then. For last year, late last year, they were really punishing channels that didn't do shorts. They wanted to try to grab TikTok audience. For some reason, they thought that if they did this thing called shorts, that they would capture a part of the TikTok audience or something like that. Something ridiculous that just wasn't going to happen, but they really pushed you. And I noticed that when I did the shorts in my other channel stuff that I was doing, I was starting to see bumps. And I knew they were algorithm bumps, but I was playing the game. So it's games that you have to play with YouTube as well. It's a real drag. And by the way, there's no exit. Once you start a YouTube channel, there's no exit to this. It's not like season 4 of The Flash and you can write yourself out of this. They're inspiration for this old guy in the middle of the cow country in Ohio. Hey, thank you, man. That means a lot here. YouTube is getting harder to be appreciated the creator efforts and the hard work. So many channels seem to be earning less and less. Yeah, that's exactly true. But another thing that's happening also is a lot of the big channels had agents. And they had agents that were setting them up with sponsors. See, it's a big thing that behind the scenes with YouTube, you got some of the big some of the big channels, those guys have an agency that handles them. And they handle them in terms of their sponsors. And these agencies are starting to drop a lot of the content creators and a lot of the different spaces, especially I understand over in the toy space that's happening a lot. A lot of people who were making, and and by the way, if you have an agency and you've got that kind of thing coming, that's kind of a guarantee per diem you got going there. And they're getting dropped, they're starting to cry, they're dying because their bread and butter source is starting to dry up. And yeah, they're making it harder on YouTube. But my solution to all of this and getting back to the copyright thing is, I'm just going to use my own music. And if you're going to play this game, and as I was alluding to there earlier, also there is no exit from YouTube. What am I going to do? And in 5 years, I'm going to say to you guys, okay, you guys, I've got to 50,000, 100,000 subscribers. I think I'm going to write an exit to this. But music comes from within, and I appreciate you. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, it does come from. And anyway, if for anything, I'm supposed to be sharing my artistic side. That's another part of this channel anyway. But there's no exit for this as a YouTube creator either. You're either in one day and you ride it through all the way, or that's it. Or you just someday say, hey, I'm done. Sorry, guys, this is going to be the last Upstairs to the Right Music Channel. I'm done. I'm out. I'm finished. And that's your own, and burnout usually is the result you get to that, is the reason you get to that end result. With most content creators on YouTube, it usually ends in burnout. So if you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, make sure you've paid your psychologist in advance. But boy, buddy, how are you going to need them? But that's the truth. There's no exit for YouTube. Think about it, guys. How do you end a YouTube channel? What do you do? It's not like television. It's not like, okay, the season's over. There's a writer's strike. No, there's none of that. This is it's like the Hotel California, man. You can check in anytime you like, but you can never leave. That's YouTube. And, that's for real. And you think about it, I have, because I happen to have a YouTube channel. So the thought has crossed my mind. Yeah, man. So you just got to dodge these bullets. I'm not going to fight the man, because if this is what the man is doing, then I've got to, standing there and pointing at him and say, hey, you shouldn't do this. And he doesn't, give a kitty. What are you going to do? All right. So you're doing this, it's like boxing, man. Somebody takes an uppercut, you bob and you weave, man. So it's bobbing and weaving. And so to all these guys who are complaining about YouTube and these copyright strikes and the artists that don't want you covering, my response to that is, hey, what are you going to do about it? Got to do YouTube just for the enjoyment, I think. Yeah, that's why, guys, I tell you, I get a kick out of it. I don't, I try to keep it interesting. You gotta roll with the punches. Yeah, Ben, exactly so, man. Dig that. That is exactly so. And they punch, man. They are swinging all the time. But it can be discouraging. And to the YouTube creators that I do know, I encourage you. As you encourage me, I think that all the ones that I follow, like my good friend Dave here, taking time to 3-Chord Dave, taking time to show up, I think are brilliant, excellent people. We are. And I think that he and I and all the other guys I mentioned, we are really here because we enjoy what we're doing. First of all, obviously we wouldn't be here if we didn't, and we certainly enjoy you guys and appreciate you, and that can't be said too many times or often enough. That I do appreciate you guys, and it's just funny to me. It's just, you know, this is the Hotel California, but you make the most out of it, you know, and you bob and you keep yourself up, and every now and then, you know, you'll see something that'll just crack you up, and you'll shake your head and say, okay, it's not so bad, and things aren't so bad. I can move on. And so there we are. And I want to thank you guys for the birthday wishes this week. I want to thank you guys for the last year, between the last birthday and this one, for the support you've shown this channel. I endeavor, my friends, to keep it interesting, even sometimes at my own expense, but that's okay. Another great show. Thanks. Yeah, thank you, Ben. But it's fun and it's interesting, and stay tuned this week. We are upstairs. Thank you guys. Wow, listen to that, man, that made me smile. Thank you, Mickey. I appreciate that. You know, I'll cover this Matsumoto this week. Probably certain the Emperor actually first, because I don't know how long that's going to be around. I better unbox that and film that. That'll be tomorrow. So something's coming up this week. Like I said, last week, my birthday week, didn't have anything. Regular show this week. I'll tell you what, I found some footage of one of my old live performances, live shows in Tokyo. I'll put that up as a bonus also this week to make up for what I didn't do last week. So a lot of things to look forward to on this channel, guys, this week. Stay tuned. And thank you so much for taking the time this Sunday at Mike's watching. Thank you for each and every one of you guys for showing up. Really, God bless each and every one of you. Pay it forward, guys. Be good to your friends, your family, and your loved ones, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.